All right, today Sammy and I want to share with you one of our favorite books. It's called I Had Trouble in Getting to Sollew. It's by Dr. Seuss.
Yes.
All right, you ready? You gonna help me with the rhyming words? Okay. There he is. That's a maze. Okay. Ready? I was real carefree. I was real happy and carefree and young, and I lived in a place called the Valley of
Fun.
And nothing, not anything, ever went wrong until, well, one day I was walking,
Along.
and I guess I got careless. I guess I got gawking at daisies and not looking where I was.
Walking.
And that's when it started. Sock, what a...
Suck.
I stubbed my big toe on a very hard,
Rock.
and I flew through the air, and I went for a sail, and I sprained the main bone in the tip of my...
Take you.
Now, I never ever had troubles before, so I said to myself, I don't want...
Anymore. Dad, look.
Yeah.
That's the wrong way.
If I watch out for rocks with my eyes straight ahead, I'll keep out of trouble forever, But watching ahead, well, it just didn't work. I was watching those rocks when I felt a hard...
Jerk.
A very fresh green-headed Quilligan quail sneaked up from and back and went after my...
Tail.
And I learned there are troubles of more than one kind. Some come from ahead and some come from...
Behind.
So I said to myself, now I'll just have to start to be twice as careful and be twice as...
Smart.
I'll watch out for trouble in front and back sections by aiming my eyeballs in different...
Directions.
I found this to be quite a difficult stunt, but now I was safe both in back and in...
Front.
And then new troubles came from above and below. A scritch at my neck and a skrink at my...
Oh.
And now I was really in trouble, you know. The rocks and the quail and the skrits and the skrink. I had so many troubles I just couldn't...
Think.
There I was, all completely surrounded by trouble, when a chap rumbled up in a one-wheeler.
Whoa.
Young fellow, he said, what has happened to you has happened to me and to other folks.
Two.
So I'll tell you what I have decided to do. I'm off to the city of...
Sollew.
On the banks of the beautiful river. Wahoo! Where they never have troubles. At least very few. It's not very far, and my camel is strong. He'll get us there fast, so hop on, come. I jumped up behind him, then all through that day, the wubble wubbed on in a wubblesome way. The road got more bumpy, more rocky, more tricky. By midnight, I tell you, my stomach felt... And so I said, Mister, please, when do we get to that wonderful town? Aren't we almost there? Young fellow, he told me, don't start in to stew. At sunrise, we'll drive into Sollew. And you'll have no more troubles, I promise. I do. But when dawn finally came and the darkness got light, that wonderful city was nowhere in
Sight.
Instead of the city, we ran into trouble. Our camel got sick, and he started to...
Bubble.
So we had to pull him in the one-wheeler.
Bubble.
So there we were in a dreadful position. Our camel sure needed a camel physician. Now, doctors for camels are not often seen, especially on mountains. They're far, far
Between.
But we pulled that old wubble and set out to find some doctor while dragging our camel.
Behind.
I pulled, and the next thing I knew, I was pulling the camel and wubble chap.
Two.
Now really, I thought, this is rather unfair, but he said, don't you stew, I am doing my share. This is called teamwork. I furnish the brains, you furnish the muscles, the aches, and the...
This is is not teamwork.
I'll pick the best roads, tell you just where to go, and we'll find a good doctor more quickly, you. No. And then he sat and he worked with his brain and his tongue, and he bossed me about just because I was.
Yeah.
He told me go left, then he told me go right, and that's what he told me all day and all.
Nice.
Next morning we located Dr. Sam Snell, who knew all about tonsils and camels as...
Wow.
Our camel, he said, had a bad case of gleeks and should lie flat in bed for at least 20
Weeks.
I was tired how I wanted to crawl in that bed, but the wubble chap sent me away and he said, your troubles are practically all at an end. Just run down that hill and around the next bend, and you'll come to the Happy Way bus route, The Happy Way bus leaves at 4:42 and will take you directly to on the banks of the beautiful river where they never have troubles, at least.
Very few.
Well, the bus stop was there and that part was just fine. But tacked on a stick was a very small saying notice to passengers using our line. We are sorry to say that our driver, Butch Myers, ran over 4 nails and has punctured all. So until further notice, the 442 couldn't possibly take you to. But I wish you a most pleasant journey by feet. Signed, Bus Line President Horace P. Sweet. So I went on.
This is the bus stop.
So I went on by feet thanks to Horace P. Sweet, and that Horace P. Sweet almost ruined my.
I watch this. I want to do it.
Okay. Very good. 100 miles later, my feet were so sore, then wouldn't you know it, it started to... I was drenched to the skin when a chap in a slicker splashed up and he yelled, it's the midwinter jicker! The midwinter jicker came early this year, and it's not going to be very comfy round here. Any fool would get out, so I've packed up my things and I'm off to my granddaddy's off in Palm. Take cover, he yelled. Use my house if you wish. Then the chap in the slicker splashed off like a...
What's a chap?
That's a guy. That's the chap.
Who's a fish?
There's no fish. I ran in the house and I fell in a heap. I needed my rest, but I just couldn't
sleep.
Did you ever sleep when your feet were like ice, with a family of owls and a family of mice? I listened all night to the growls and the yowls and the chattering teeth of those mice and those
Owls.
While the midwinter jicker howled horrible howls. I tossed and I flipped and I flopped and I flept. It was 5:15 when I finally... I skipped a page. Then I dreamed I was sleeping on billowy billows of soft silken satin marshmallow stuffed. I dreamed I was sleeping in Solla on the banks of the beautiful river where they never have troubles. At least.
Very few.
Then I woke up and it just wasn't true. I was crashing downhill in a flubulous flood with suds in my eyes and my mouth full of and my nose full of water and my ears full of shrieks of the owls flying off with the mice in there. And I said to myself, no, I really don't see why troubles like this have to happen to
me. That's the trouble.
Yeah. I floated 12 days without toothpaste or soap. I practically almost had given up when someone up high shouted, "Here, catch the rope!" Then I knew that my troubles had come to an end, and I climbed up the rope, calling, "Thank you, my..." I got to the top, but it wasn't a friend. And I saw that my troubles were not at an A big man on a horse scared me out of my wits. He bellowed, "I'm General Genghis Khan Schmitz. There's a war going on, and it's time that you knew. Every lad in this land has his duty to. We're marching to battle. We need you, my boy. We're about to attack. We're about to
Destroy.
the perilous Poozer of Pamplemousse.
Pass.
So get into line. You're a private first."
Correct.
He gave me a shooter and one little bean, which is not very much if you see what I... Then he yelled, "Get that Pooza! Attack without fear! The glorious moment of victory is..." And the glorious general led the advance with the glorious swish of his sword and his lance, and a glorious clank of his tin-plated
pants.
Then we went round a corner and found that, alas, there was more than one Poozer in Pamplemousse.
Pass.
And Genghis Khan Schmitz shouted out to his men, "This happens in war every now and again. Sometimes you are winners, sometimes you are losers. We never can win against so many.
Losers.
And so I suggest that it's time to retreat." And the army raced off on its tin-plated. There I was, with more Poozers than I'd ever seen. There I was with my shooter and only one. There I was, and I thought, will I ever get through to the wonderful city of
Sollew.
on the banks of the beautiful river,
Wahoo.
where they never have troubles, at least.
Very few.
I had terrible trouble in staying alive. Then I saw an old pipe that said vent number 5. I didn't have time to find out what that meant, but the vent had a hole, and the hole's where I...
That Pooza cannot finish.
No. Well, that vent where I went was a sort of a funnel that led me down into a frightful black tunnel. The traffic down there was a mess, I must say, with billions of birds going all the wrong
way. Dad, look at him. His nose tilted.
They bumped me with bikes, and they banged me with dishes. I ran into ladders, beds, bottles, and
fishes.
I skidded on garbage. I fell in a horn. Troubles I wished I had never been
born.
I was down there 3 days in that bird-filled-up place. At least 8,000 times I fell smack on my...
Wait, how much times?
8,000.
8,000 times yes, smack.
I injured 3 fingers, both thumbs and both lips, my shin bone, my backbone, my wishbone, and... hips.
Here's a wishbone?
What's more, I was starved. I had nothing to eat. And damp, was it damp? I grew moss on my... Then just when I thought I could stand it no more, by chance I discovered a tiny
trap door.
I popped my head out. The great sky was sky blue, and I knew from the flowers I'd finally come through to the banks of the beautiful river.
Wahoo.
I couldn't be far now from.
Sollew.
There it was with its glittering towers in the air. I'd made it, I'd done it. At last I was
there.
And I knew that I'd left all my troubles behind when a chap at a doorway that shimmered and shined waved me a wave that was friendly and
Because what if the kernel was on the ground? He stepped on the kernel and then he sung.
Yep. "Welcome," he said as he gave me his hand. "Welcome, my son, to this beautiful
Land.
Welcome to sweet sunny Solla, Sollew, where we never have troubles, at least very."
He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he has 1, 2, 4, 5, 6.
6 fingers? As a matter of fact,
Do I have 1, 2,
we have only just one. Imagine just one little trouble, my. And this one little trouble, as you will now see, is this one little trouble I have with this. Uh-oh. There's only one door into Sollew, and we have a key-slapping slipper. We
do.
This troublesome slipper moved into my door 2 weeks ago Tuesday at 1:45.
What?
Since then, I can't open this door anymore. And I can't kill the slipper. It's very bad luck to kill any slipper, and that's why we're stuck.
Okay.
And why no one gets in and the town's gone to pot. It's a terrible state of affairs, is it? Not. And so, said the doorman of Sollew, my job at the door here is finished. I'm through. And I'll tell you what I have decided to do. I'm leaving, he said, leaving Sollew on the banks of the beautiful river where we never have troubles. At least very few. And I'm off to the city of Boo-La-Boo-Ball on the banks of the beautiful river Woo-Wall, where they never have troubles. No troubles. Come on along with me, he said as he ran, and you'll never have any more troubles, young
Man.
I'd have no more troubles. That's what the man said. So I started to go, but I didn't. Instead, I did some quick thinking inside of my head. Are you ready for the last page? Then I started back home to the valley of, I know I'll have troubles. I'll maybe get by the green-headed quail in the place where I'll maybe get stung. I'll always have troubles. I'll maybe get bit by that green-headed quail on the place where I sit. But I've bought a big bat. I'm all ready, you see. Now my troubles are going to have troubles.
With me.
Thanks, Sam.